let's keep moving now.
Let's talk Guardians.
Let's
How
talk
they
about
cost
the
me
Guardians.
money yesterday.
So
Class A.
last night's game was kind of crazy.
Kind of.
12-11 is the final. Was it 12-11?
Yes.
Right? In 10, Guardians have already played 2 extra inning games in their first 5. They've won 4 in a row. They're 4-1 to start the season. That's great. Class A, by the way, and I didn't mention this the other day because he was lights out anyway, but it is interesting. His velocity is down a little bit. I don't know if
he's doing 95 as opposed
But I did notice that last
Yeah.
night on the gun. I think he was 98. Normally he's
right. It was actually up yesterday from the 2 other performances, so I think he'll eventually get there. But
I'd have to go back and look at his early season numbers.
Comparatively.
Last
year.
I never worry about it early in the season.
It's cold. It's so cold.
It was cold last night too.
Yeah.
In Oakland.
But listen, let him get it. Class A, I'm not worried about Class A.
No.
Even the best closers have been, he had so few moments like that last year that it was kind of stunning that he blew the lead, especially against the A's to give up a home run to Seth Brown and, that terrible lineup. Yeah. But it's a hiccup. But, if it becomes a problem during the year, okay, we'll panic about it maybe. But I'm certainly not doing that after one bad appearance.
I'm only mad because I had Guardians by 1.5.
Yeah.
And he gets a save. I'm betting against the A's every game on the run line, by the way, this year. 162 games.
Yeah.
So far, through 4 games, I'm down $2. They're 2-2. I'm down $2.
Right.
That's
but
awesome.
I bet them tonight.
Yeah.
Class A cost me money.
Yeah.
But I think Plesac is where we have to talk about this.
Well,
and Jason, if you want to start with the text that you sent us yesterday, I'm not sure if you want to really say that, but
he couldn't command his fastball. He was all over the place, and he was throwing middle. He was leaving everything middle, and they were the numbers of how hard Oakland was hitting him last night.
The exit velo was silly.
Oh, and that's a A's lineup.
The worst lineup in baseball.
Could you name a single A's player before yesterday?
Well, yeah, I guess a fantasy baseball lunatic.
Okay. No.
But the average baseball fan
No,
probably
can't name a player.
I couldn't.
No.
I heard of the leadoff hitter. Who's the center fielder?
Ramon Laureano.
Nope. Who's the other guy?
Connor Capel?
No, he wasn't right.
It was their leadoff hitter.
The little guy in center. I know who you're talking about.
Oh, Tony Kemp?
Tony Kemp.
No, Kemp was
He's
in
second
second.
base. Yeah.
Kemp
But
was
I knew Tony Kemp because he played for the Astros.
Who am I forgetting right now? You have Laureano.
Brito. Was there a
Kemp.
Brito? Wasn't a Brito in center?
Oh, Yuri Brito.
Yeah,
He's a
never heard of
rookie.
him.
He's the only legit prospect they have in the lineup.
I said on the
Esturi, right? Isn't it Esturi Brito?
Esturi Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Ruiz,
Brito.
Brito.
Same thing.
We'll straighten it out.
I was after I put on our group chat that I thought Tanner Bybee would be up by Memorial Day.
Not Gavin Williams.
No, Bybee's ahead of him. And I texted Zach that, and I said, my hot take is I think Bybee will be here by Memorial Day. And he said the only one ahead of him is Logan Allen. And they've got about 16 Logan Allens in this organization.
I know. Enough with
so I'm not
Logan
entirely sure which Logan Allen he was referring to. But he didn't dispute it. Between the McKenzie injury, I have no faith in Zach Plesac. I don't know how you can. He's had 2 terrible years.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great spring. Got hit around last night by a bad lineup. Yes, you're right. It's only 1 game.
Yeah.
But show me the evidence to have any sort of faith in him whatsoever.
No, and I don't trust him off the field. He's in that Clevenger, Bauer nonsense behavior.
I don't think he's to that extreme, but he was with Clev, obviously, during the COVID thing.
The guy's untrustworthy.
Yeah.
I don't throw anybody out after 1 start, ever.
No, of course
you can't
not.
do that. But
not even 2 or 3. You got to give him at least the month of April, I would think.
So, listen, it felt like coming into the season, we're so used to the Guardians starting pitching being good. And that was actually, once McKenzie got hurt, I was like, I'm most concerned about the rotation.
You were worried about the rotation before McKenzie.
I was.
That, we were.
But now with him hurt, that was my biggest concern. And listen, we can't judge after 5 games. But so far, the bullpen has mostly been good. The lineup has mostly been good. And the rotation, 3 of the 5 games has been awful.
It has been what we thought it would be, all the way through, from the bullpen to the lineup to the rotation.
Yes.
Listen, Quantrill is a little rocky early on.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
I'm not as
But he is
concerned
what he
about
is.
him.
I mean, he's not great, but he's fine.
No, but there's a lot of concern over, I think, Savali and Plesac at this point.
Yeah.
And obviously the McKenzie injury, now you got Hunter Gaddis you're relying on.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
So I do think that, they're 3-headed prospects of Espino, Gavin Williams, and Bybee. Espino's coming back from injury. Gavin is, I think, AA, and Bybee's in AAA. He's starting to he's next. And, if you don't know a lot about him, he's sort of in the Shane Bieber mold of a control guy, mid-round pick coming out of college. And the Guardians sprinkled their voodoo magic witch dust on him, and he added 7 miles an hour to his fastball, and he's the next in line.
Yeah.
So I think that he will be up sooner than later. just because of injury or ineffectiveness of the guys in front of them. And I think they want to get a look at him. And I think part of this was by design of, they know they've got these young guys coming. Let's get a look at them, certainly by the July's trade deadline, so they know what they're shooting at here.
Right.
They've got plenty of ammo. We've talked about it at length. They have everything they need to go get what they want, but they need to know what their needs are.
Right.
And the lineup does look okay. Will Brennan is looking great. I mean, again, very
guy.
early. But Brennan.
That throw yesterday in the 7th.
Oh, that was a fantastic throw.
One hop rocket.
Him and Gonzalez are sort of like in a platoon, it looks like right now. I don't think that they're sold on Oscar.
No, well, if that's the case, then Brennan's going to play more because he's sitting playing against Rikers.
Yeah, I know. But I think there's some concern over Oscar and whether or not how disciplined he can be at the plate. But, Quan looks like he hasn't missed a step from last year.
Jose,
Miles
big
Straw's
game
actually
yesterday.
hitting right now. We'll wait and see.
It doesn't matter. Miles Straw's going to play because he's a good fielder, a good base runner.
Right.
They don't need him to be great offensively.
No, but if he can hit 240 at the bottom of the lineup,
Fine.
that's huge.
Take that run to the bank.
Yeah, I mean, the lineup's in good shape. Could they eventually do something in right field? Listen, I've been screaming about Brian Reynolds for a while. I'd love for them to trade for him. He's a sure thing. I would trade Oscar Gonzalez and some young hitters to get Brian Reynolds, but I don't think that's going to happen. But pitching, whether Bybee comes up or whatever, I still love the idea of them adding a veteran starter, especially come playoff time, because you want somebody with experience there. Listen, Tristan McKenzie, we love him. When he's healthy, he's great. But he has a long minor league history of injuries. I don't know what he's going to be this year. We're hoping he comes back in 2 months. Maybe he's going to come back in 2 months, and maybe the final 4 months of the season, he's going to be Cy Young caliber or borderline. But we don't know. Can't, Plesac, I thought coming into the season he can't be trusted, so this did nothing to dissuade me. Now, Savali pitched great. He was fantastic against a really good Mariners lineup.
I still don't trust him.
But I don't trust him. I trust him a little more than Plesac.
Well, sure.
But I want it, ideally for me, Quantrill and Savali. For me, Plesac gone. Quantrill and Savali are my 4th and 5th starters. Bieber's my 1. Hopefully McKenzie's my 2. Either way, I need a middle of the rotation veteran. Even if I get Bybee, I still want the middle of the rotation veteran. I'm not saying they got to go out and trade for a superstar. That's hard to do. But there are good middle third starter veterans that can be had out there.
And look at it we're looking way down the line.
Yeah, we're not trading for him now.
158 games in the future, 157. But in a playoff series, when you really only throw 3 guys, even in a 7-game series.
Well, you throw 4. You should throw 4.
Should, but I'm saying sometimes you only get through 3.
Yeah.
You have Bieber, who you love.
Right. There's nobody else
and
right
no
now.
No one else you love. Now we
I love McKenzie, but we
may love McKenzie when he's healthy. We love McKenzie, but like you said, there's a track record of him not being available when you want him to be available. He's just injury prone through the minors.
Yeah.
And we'll see. But can I pull us back on a macro
last
micro
night?
scale?
Yeah.
Yeah, last night real quick. Once again, do not overreact to any individual game, good or bad. Good or bad. But I do think what we've seen through 5 games from this Guardians team, resiliency-wise, and I know they're young and it's the regular season and some older teams just don't always have that same fight. They could have folded yesterday easy. Plesac gives up 6 runs in the 2nd inning. They have a guy named Xavier Curry.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
He actually pitched well.
I'll be honest, I was unfamiliar with him before yesterday. Shout out Curry, he pitched awesome 5 innings.
He came up last year, pitched a little for them last year. He did a nice job.
The fact that not only once but twice they erased the hole, then late, to give up the home run in the 9th to tie it, to come back and then score 2 runs right in the top of the 10th, not let this game prolong, I think is a testament to not just Tito for always having his finger on the pulse, knowing exactly what buttons to push on this team, but a team that, you're going to have to steal some of these wins. That's a ball game they had no business winning. They scored 5 runs unearned. I know it's the A's, but I'm just saying, based on how the first couple innings went, they had no business actually winning that game and come down the playoff stretch, wild card seedings. Those are the little games that when they're 90 and 70, and you have to come to 1.5 game slip between getting home field advantage in the playoffs, making that first, second wild card spot. Those are the games that end up mattering, and I love what I've seen from them as far as their resiliency, not willing to give up yet, even though it's only 5 games into the season.
Tim Herron, by the way.
Great job again.
We talked about him yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, he's, I think, going to be my little favorite little reliever type thing that no one knows about. His slider. I mean, listen, I'm not going to put him in the Andrew Miller class yet, but when you've got a lefty who can throw a slider like that that's unhittable, how huge that is for your bullpen when you can get lefties and righties out just throwing 2 pitches.
Yeah.
So he's faced 8 batters so far this year, has 6 strikeouts and given up 1 hit. He was nasty. Karinchak obviously had his best performance yesterday, no base runners. And not only did they come back, as you say, down big early, even though it is against the A's, you down big, you down big. You know, usually the team puts up 6 after 2 innings, you usually lose the game. So not only did they come back, but also they come back, they take the lead, then Clase blows the save. A lot of times when your closer blows the save, it's deflating to the team.
Especially on the road.
Especially when you had to fight so hard to come back. And then they come right back and put up 2 in the top of the 10th. And they gave up 1, but that was big.
I do want to see them hit the ball out of the park, though. Like,
home run numbers are.
We know how this ends. We know how the scrappy, gutty, steal an extra base. We know how that ends, and it typically doesn't end well in the postseason.
You know, I do think I believe there's not enough sample size to know that for sure.
Sure, of course,
because there's not enough teams that play that way. Stolen base percentage is through the roof right now.
Yeah, it is.
Through the roof, and that's a big advantage for the Guardians. Batting average way up. That's, again, advantage for the Guardians. Yes, you want to see more power. Josh Bell's off to a bad start. But Naylor's off to a great start. Maybe this is the year he kind of is consistent for the whole season. Obviously, Jose had a big game yesterday. Quan, a great start. Yes, they do need more power, but I think it'll come. Josh Bell's going to be a guy who's going to get hot and then he'll hit a bunch of home runs.
You guys have watched Naylor a lot more than I have, so I'm going to defer to you guys completely on this.
Yeah.
From watching him last year to this year for me, and it's impossible to truly tell, but it looks like he's just up in the box with a lot more confidence. Like, he seems calm, like, he's an emotional guy. Seems like he's just kind of taking a deep breath, and even though the pitch clock is speeding it up, he just seems to be a little more calm in the box, and he crushed that home run last
I don't
night.
know. I mean, to me, I don't know. I think he's always been confident. I don't think that's a problem.
No. Like I said, you guys have watched him more.
I think he's a streaky hitter. So
he's absolutely a streaky hitter. I do think they've been tweaking the swing a little bit. I think they've got it to a good spot. They're happy with where it's at. Yeah. And also, he's fully healthy. Like, last year, he was coming off that just gruesome ankle injury.
That's true.
And he was healthy last year, but now you're 1 year removed from that. And I mean, he's always been a confident player, but he looks confident, relaxed, and like he's ready to. And I mean, not that he played outfield last year, but I'm glad the outfield experience is behind him.
Yeah.
He's a first baseman DH. That's it. And now let's see what he can do in a full year.
Listen, the lineup's really good. It's good. It's missing some power. I mean, I think the power will come. They're not going to be a top home run hitting team. That's not going to happen.
It's going to be middle of the pack.
Can they be middle of the pack? Last year they were the bottom. If they get to the middle of the pack, I think that's good enough.
I thought to get to middle of the pack, they needed Oscar to be what they hoped the ceiling of Oscar would be, along with the big free agent signing like Josh Bell. A little bit more organic growth in the power to a guy like Naylor that we were talking about. And I don't know. Like, I asked Tito about it in spring training about, do you feel like you addressed the power deficiencies?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a glowing answer.
Yeah. I mean, my hope, and it's probably unrealistic, my hope is that they still will be aggressive and get one more bat and one more pitcher at the deadline or around the deadline. Now, I don't know. I was reading yesterday that it looks like the Guardians are not getting their payment from Bally's. Is that official now?
No, it's not official, but it's easy to connect the dots.
Yeah.
So the 4 teams that Diamond wanted to renegotiate the deals on were the Reds, the Guardians, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres. And the Padres and Diamondbacks are already on the record that they did not receive payment.
Right.
I couldn't get an answer out of anyone when I was in Arizona, on or off the record, where the payment stood. But it's easy to connect those dots. And the Guardians have appeared in the lawsuit, which I haven't had time to follow up on, but they just made their first appearance in the ongoing litigation. So all of it pointing to, yes, that they are not going to be receiving the
can you explain for me and everyone else why that's significant for the Guardians making moves later?
I don't know that it's significant. It could be significant because they could, unlike teams like the Yankees and the Cubs that print money, the Guardians are relying on that TV money.
Baseball relies on local TV
more than any sport.
More than any sport.
Yeah. And so, now again, with, what's his name, the new owner that came in? Blitzer. Maybe they're able to spend more. They did sign those extensions, including the big one with Jimenez. Maybe the TV thing's not going to be a big deal in the short term. I don't know.
Well, I think it could be.
I think it probably will be.
I asked Chris about it. I asked Chris Antonetti when I was out there, and he said in the short term, he didn't think it would have an impact. And we saw it. Like, they got the Jimenez extension done, and I think that there were other deals that they were working on.
Right.
So I don't think that necessarily in the short, but he said in the long term, nobody really knows. Nobody really has an answer for that right now. So I think this is just another thing. You know, you go back to the COVID and just the navigating these uncertain times for these teams that they didn't really know and understand of how this is going to play out. And I think this is yet another one of like, it's not that they're like the Guardians keep a lot of things close to the vest. This isn't that. They truly don't know. Nobody knows how this is going to end.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that it's come to this. This is what happens when we have corporate, same corporations owning everything. And what's the word I'm looking for? Consolidation.
Monopoly.
Yes.
Monopolies, consolidation sucks for all of us. Anyway, I'm not going to go on and on about that. But the bottom line is it could affect their ability to add to the payroll at the trade deadline, which I'm hoping they have some room. And as good as the lineup's been, I still think I want to keep making it better. The pitching's good, keep making it better. And hopefully they have some payroll flexibility, at least a little bit, to be able to add. But right now, you got to feel good, especially about where the lineup is.
4-1 through 5 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's 5 games, but that is
better than being 1-4.
hell of a start to the season, especially after opening night where Mr. Overreaction on Friday, where we were like, is this offense, what's it
we weren't like. You were joking.
Well, joking, but like, that was not a good offensive showing. And since then,
gentlemen, please.
No, we did a segment on Friday called Mr. Overreaction where I purposely put on the big, like I said, Shea Bieber's teammate Tatum because they refused to score runs for him.
Okay.
Confirmed, not true. But
they've scored a ton of runs.
But they've scored a ton of runs since then.
3 of the 4 games.
The pitching has been, for the most part, pretty damn good since then.
Yeah.
All to be told. So, through 5 games, I think you have to be happy with where the Guardians stand in the grand scheme of things. Twins look good too, though.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not be at this point? So, it's early. You don't want to get carried away, either good or bad. But, yeah, I think it's interesting. When it came to the young players that were going to play every day, I think we all were very confident that Quan would pick up where he left off. And I think everybody had a sense of, is this Oscar Gonzalez thing real? And again, 5 games, but so far, after a bad camp, Oscar's looked shaky. And so far,
our boy Will Brennan.
Quan is just, Quan just has the type of game that
he's going to be good for 15
he's not
years.
going to go in long slumps, probably.
No, he's exactly what you want at the top of the order.
Right.
Jose's been Jose. Rosario, I was never a believer. I haven't hardly been in to see you guys. I was never a believer in the extension talk. If it was, I
didn't buy that.
I thought it was only to trade him. I wouldn't even sign him for $10, $12 million. I think they can get from their prospects what he gives you. It's not like.
Well, you hope.
Yeah, but
he's
not. Yeah. He's not even Carlos Correa. You know what I mean? Like he's not giving you elite level production.
No.
He's a great clubhouse guy. He fits what they need in the lineup, but I think this is probably his last year.
But I think it's a situation, like they don't like to just let guys walk that are good players.
No.
But they're going to have to do that this year, probably.
Probably with him. And again.
You don't want to like in the past, like they've traded a Bauer in season, a Clevenger in season. Those guys weren't important clubhouse guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if they're leading the division,
it's hard to
trade Rosario.
It's hard to trade your starting shortstop and 2 hole
hitter.
hitter.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
On a first place team.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rays have done it. Like the Rays do it all the time. They traded. Who was the shortstop that traded Milwaukee?
Willie
Adames.
Yeah.
Like,
but he wasn't as established as Rosario. He had still been developing
their
as a
top
young
number one
player.
prospect in baseball was Wander Franco, who was behind him.
Sure.
And he was like the number one.
Right.
Rosario was too.
Yeah, but they didn't even promote Franco right away. They gave it to
Tyler Walls, Taylor Walls, whatever.
So I mean, there is precedent for it, but I would expect Rosario will probably be there all year.
I'd be surprised if they traded him, but he's gone at the end of the season, and you wonder, do they move Jimenez to short, which is his natural position, and use one of the other young guys at second?
I think he is so good at second.
They just want to leave him be.
I don't
I'm
know.
with you.
I don't know. I mean, again, he had a 7 WAR last year. That is unheard of for second base.
Right.
I think you just got to leave him there and just enjoy.
And maybe
I mean, he made another terrific defensive play last night on just he's a
so
vacuum.
fun to watch, too.
Yeah, his hands are just terrific.
What is Arias' natural position?
Short?
Yeah,
too?
shortstop.
Short's his natural
I don't
spot.
remember how good he was in the minors defensively.
He's got a good arm and good defense. Like
We haven't seen him enough.
yeah, I don't think he's elite
But
necessarily.
neither is Rosario defensively.
No, but Rosario's gotten better.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to make the Rosario real quick. Sorry to cut you off, Jason.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to make the second inning. He dove for he tried
Yeah.
to backhand the one. I thought if he just kind of ran through it, he would have had it. So I'm not.
Rosario makes the plays. He doesn't have great range for a shortstop.
No.
But he makes all the plays. I mean, if he gets to it, he makes it.
He had the terrible throw last night, which it happens. even the best
Right.
uncorked wild ones at times. You know, a year ago at this time, it was my understanding that it was sort of Jimenez and Arias was sort of what they were envisioning up the middle.
Right.
You know, pick your spot in
Yeah.
terms of who's going to be where, but that was sort of the combination. And we've seen that Arias, you know, the fact that he's on this team and they're just trying to find at bats for him and just trying to find places to play him.
Yeah.
You know, Rocchio is still there. He's another great prospect who really hasn't had his opportunity yet. I don't know. I don't know how this shakes out, but
Yeah.
I can only go off of what I was told last year. It was that it was going to be Arias and Jimenez up the middle.
Listen, I think we all are happy to credit the Guardians for locking up Jose long-term, locking up Jimenez long-term.
Huge.
Emmanuel
Huge.
Clase.
Yeah.
I'm not that excited about Straw extension, but they did it. Trevor Stephan, they signed to an extension.
What's that tell you about James Karinchak? The fact that they locked up Stephan.
Yeah, they're
and
not interested in
Karinchak.
locking him up. They don't like guys that are like
And I'm just saying,
questionable characters like
I'm
that.
just saying, everyone looks at Karinchak as sort of the backup closer to
Right.
Clase, and I don't necessarily. I think it's
yeah,
Stephan.
Trevor
I think,
Stephan's really good.
I think they have a lot
And
more
you see,
faith in Stephan.
You don't need to lock up a million relievers.
Stephan's really good.
You know what I mean?
They're too
Like,
volatile
now
year to
Tim
year.
Herron's come up.
Wait till Henches comes back.
Right, Henches looked good last year. I mean, they got enough guys. They can. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they traded Karinchak because there are teams that will give up a lot for a good, like a hard-throwing relief pitcher.
How old's Karinchak?
He's young. I don't
He's
know.
pretty young, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's what's up. Just making
At some
sure.
point. But I think the reality is, even with all the signings, and I feel good that they could sign, whether it's this year or this offseason, that they'll extend Quan at some point. I feel good about that. I like their chances better in general of like locking up a guy who's not a huge power hitter. I don't know. You're worried about Quan
Yeah.
because they couldn't do it already?
I kind of thought this was the time to do it because
Yeah.
he's already lost 1 year
Right.
of control. This will be year 2,
Yeah.
so you're down to 1 more year.
Right.
They better do it next year
It has to be next year.
before
Like,
before he's arbitration
Right.
eligible. Then it's too late.
because Rosario's going to be gone. Now you have the guys to replace him. The reality is they're probably going to trade Shane Bieber this offseason. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but
Yeah.
that's
Jason's
the
been
reality.
saying that for
Yeah.
10 months.
I thought last year.
There's
they were
no
gonna
way
have
they're
to trade him.
signing him at this point
No.
because he's going to at free agency. He's getting $30 million a year. So
And that's the Gavin Williams, Daniel
Right.
Espino, Tanner
right, but
Bybee.
like, will those guys be ready to pitch at that level by next year?
Right.
You know, with the Guardians, you give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think they can't let Bieber walk
No.
like they're going to let Rosario.
No.
Rosario in a trade is not bringing you back a ton,
You're going to get a middle infield Class A,
right? Which they don't need.
right, or a reliever.
Rosario makes a lot of sense to let him play the season out.
Yes.
If for some reason it's a shocking thing and they suck this year, which is unlikely, okay, you trade him. Because what's the point of keeping him?
Right.
But Bieber, he's going to get traded this offseason. I don't think there's any. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't.
I wholeheartedly
Right.
agree.
And they'll get a
Wholeheartedly
lot, even for 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, look what they turned 1 year of Lindor into.
Right.
Speaking of trades, Earl, we got a super chat, don't we, about a Guardians trade?
Oh.
Yes, we do. And that whenever we have super chats, it is brought to you by PCC Air Force. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Air Force is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Air Force in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva
old
are
Minerva.
hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, you get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a sign-up bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We got a super chat from
Yeah.
Donnie M.
What up, Donnie?
Question for Jason. Who would you give up in a trade for Shohei Ohtani?
We talked about this the day you weren't here after the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, yeah. He wasn't here for that?
No, he wasn't.
So we were saying, like, normally, I mean, we know the Guardians are not going to trade for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
But the question Mike asked was, no matter what you have to give up for him, would you do it for 1 year with the Guardians? And I said I would do it because of who he is. He's so special, and I'm so confident they can replenish the talent. Again, I know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely do it. You'd have to give up four great prospects.
I mean,
probably
for 1 year, you probably still have to give up 2 of Williams, Espino, and,
Yes.
and Bybee. That's the starting point.
Yes.
1 or 2 of Rocchio and
probably George
Arias, Valera.
Yeah.
Like it's
If I had to trade Williams, Espino, Rocchio, Valera, I'd do it. That's crazy. I know they won't,
they won't.
but I would do it. 100%.
Would you, is the question, though.
No, because I think it's not that I'm opposed to trading those pieces. boy.
He's so unique
I know,
that
I
I
know.
would never want to do that for a 1-year rental, except him. Except him. He's the only player.
Yeah, I still don't think. If I had even a decent chance at re-signing him,
Yeah.
I would do it. Like, you bring him into your culture, you show him the city, you show him this is what we're
I know
about.
they'd have no chance.
But they'd have.
I'd still do it.
no
I'd still do it
theoretical
because it would make this season amazing and would give them a much better chance to win the World Series.
Let me change the question, but
Yeah.
keep it the same. We are it's July 4th. Guardians are 7 games in first place in the AL Central. They have a 7-game lead over Minnesota. Make it 10 for the sake of this. They look like a legitimate World Series, not contender, but favorite. Does that change how you approach this?
Sure. Yeah, it probably
Right.
does. In that moment.
you imagine-
And listen, were they not in on Bryce Harper a couple years ago?
Supposedly.
And allegedly Juan Soto.
Yeah. So they
well, Soto would have been maybe a long-term thing.
and they've got the capital.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do have the capital to get something like that done.
100%. I mean, can you imagine, in theory, a playoff rotation of Bieber, Ohtani, and McKenzie as your top 3? I mean, that'd be pretty hard to beat.
With that
their
bullpen, with the bullpen,
good luck. I mean, I would.
Plus Ohtani hitting behind
Yeah,
and
right.
or in front of Jose.
Plus, Ohtani would be your
Ace. And
your
three-hitter.
co-ace and your co-best hitter.
I bet him second. Actually,
Second?
I put him second
Yes.
between Quan and Jose.
Yes.
Quan, Ohtani, Jose.
However you want to do that
Right,
top
right,
3.
right.
Yeah. Oof.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Never
I
going
would
to
do it.
happen,
It's not gonna
obviously.
happen. I would do it.
Ohtani's so good. He's completely wasted on the Angels. I mean, his free agency next year is going to be so much fun to watch.
He's going to get $600 million.
I hope he's not on the Yankees. I really don't want him to go to the Yankees.
He's going to the Yankees or Dodgers. Like, who else can
I think he's
afford
going
it?
to.
The
I think
Cubs.
he's going.
I
to
want the
Dodgers.
Cubs to sign him.
They're not signing him.
They have the money.
They're not signing him.
They have the
You
money.
think they're going to sign him to $600 million deal?
I don't think so, but they have it.
They're not going to
Well,
sign
so do the
him on it.
Padres, but he's not going to San Diego.
The
I mean,
Padres don't have it. They've signed so many guys
They
already.
are just drunken sailors.
They don't
on
have-
the
But
storyline.
they don't
Jason,
have
you're
any of
telling
the
me the
money.
Cubs don't have the money to pay
Oh, no, I'm
Ohtani?
saying
They
they
100%
do. But
do.
what proof do we have that they would spend that kind of
Well, I
money?
mean, in the World Series year, they had the second highest payroll in baseball.
Okay, well,
Oh,
but-
I don't think they're going to do it. I'm just saying they could easily do it. They're printing money in Chicago.
yes, I agree.
They
with
own
that.
the whole real estate around the stadium.
But I
and they
don't.
own
But I'm
everything.
just saying, like, we
It's-
don't have any evidence that they would.
That they would go that high.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not. But he's such a unique player that I think any team that can afford it has got to play. But yes, the Dodgers and Yankees are most likely.
I
are
think,
the most
I think
likely
the
teams.
Dodgers are most likely. Doesn't have to leave L.A.
Well.
Apparently, he really likes L.A.
By
You
the
know,
way,
I wonder. What about Seattle? They've got the money.
yeah, I mean that would
They've got the money.
right.
And
I mean,
they've
he
got,
is going to cost at least $50 million a year minimum.
And they, obviously Ichiro is a huge star there. They have a heavy population.
Right, Asian population, Japanese
population.
population. Yeah,
So, I don't know. I mean, I don't think
It's
that's.
a good sleeper team.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. By the way, you see Brian Hoyer 2-year deal with the Raiders. Are we excited about
I
that?
did not see that.
Yeah, 2-year deal with the Raiders.
Back
How
with
many-
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah,
the
there you go.
Browns have confirmed that Michael Woods does have a torn Achilles, so
That is tough.
he is officially out for the year. All right.
We got Windhorse coming in a sec, but I guess
Yeah.
this month now, in less than 2 weeks, we are going to the Greeny Card Show.
We are.
And I'm hyped about that. Early, you want to tell us a little bit more about the Greeny Collectors Card Show?